What's up? I'm Chad and this is See Stuff, Do Stuff, and you're in my shop, C2 Fab. Today we're talking about the Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro. I'm just going to give you a quick tour of my machine, some of the things I've got on it that didn't come with it in the box, and I hope this is informative for you, so follow me. Alright, got you turned around here. So this is my Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro. Obviously, I have been using it. You can see the pile of material over there that's been cut up, some stuff sitting on the bed. This video is going to be about my setup, what I've added on to it to make it better and work better for me, and hopefully it'll give you guys some insights. First and foremost, everyone needs a compressor to make this work. This is my Master Force air compressor. It's got some decent stats, which are going to be hard to get down and see because there's so much stuff in the way. But you can see that I've got 11.5 CFM at 90 PSI. That is kind of the bare bones for running a plasma table. This compressor is 240 volts, 15 amps. I wired it myself. Big takeaway from looking at this right now is you need a water separator regulator. I keep mine regulated up at about 100 PSI. I come through here and I clear the air out of it regularly, which drains the water out of here. I drain the tank all the time. If you look down there, you can see the orange stains on the ground from when I drain it. I actually want to buy an auto drain for this thing. That's next on my list of to-dos. You'll notice I don't have an air dryer on this thing. A lot of people are putting these crazy air dryers and stuff on them. I live in a fairly humid environment. I'm in Northwest Indiana. But I have found that with this inline regulator and water separator, a long hose, and then another water separator and a desiccant filter, I am in good shape as far as moisture content. I haven't found it necessary to add a compressed air dryer or anything like this. Okay, back out here in the shop area. You can see where the air line comes out through the wall, comes up. I go into another water separator and then directly into a big Milton desiccant dryer. And then I've got a short orange hose here that runs to the back of the plasma. I use the razor weld cut 45, came with the table. Works great. All right, so that's the biggest upgrade, if you will, that I've done to the machine, was put that desiccant dryer and those two water separators in. I have had no issues with moisture content in my compressed air causing tip erosion or anything consumable erosion. I'm not finding a whole lot of wandering in my plasma arc or anything like that. So keep in mind, I live in Northwest Indiana. It's fairly humid. It's not crazy deep south humid. So that works for me here. Make sure it works for you where you're at. Everybody's setup's different. I'm going to show you the cart that I've built for my plasma table. It's on some adjustable wheels. It makes it so I can roll it out, easy to clean behind, underneath of. It also makes it so I can store cut material like scrap sheet and stuff behind the machine and be able to still access it when I want to. So my cart was built using kind of scraps I had laying around here. It's by no means pretty, but it does the job. It is mostly made out of 1.5 inch angle iron. There's a couple pieces of 1.5 inch square tube. And it's just a real simple rectangular cart that has these metal pads in the corner to sit the feet of the actual plasma table onto. The feet are not mounted to this. The table literally sits on top of this cart on these little metal pads that are in the corner. All the research I did stated that you don't want to attach anything to the legs. You don't want to hook the legs down in any way so that you can square and true up and level your table freely without it binding on anything you've added to it. So with this cart, the way it's set up, I can level the machine still on the feet that came on the frame of the actual Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro, And I can also level the cart itself using the adjustable leveling feet underneath of it. So this gives me a ability to kind of fine tune how it sits. And if I ever move it and then I don't quite get it perfectly back into the same spot, I can level the cart again and kind of get those adjustments just perfect, so that I know this machine is sitting flat, level, and as square as possible, which is key to keeping it in good working order and getting nice straight cuts and not having any binding issues, so on and so forth. So that's an important step, is making sure that you can level this machine even after you move it. The machine doesn't have to be permanent or stationary all the time. Most of you guys are probably buying this machine because you have a small working space, and so you want to be able to roll it around and utilize your space based on the projects that you're working on. Sometimes the Langmuir is going to take a back seat and you're going to be working on something else, so you want to shove it off into a corner. That's the great thing about putting it on a cart with wheels. I just really encourage you not to weld anything to the frame or to weld the feet of it to the cart itself. Let it all be free floating from each other so things can be adjusted. Here's a fun little upgrade I did. You'll see this box right here, this cover that I put over the brain box of the Crossfire. This file is actually available on FireShare. I don't remember the name of the author of that file, but it's a fantastic little first project for you to do on your machine. I cut it out of, well, I think this looks like probably 14 gauge sheet steel. And then you fold it all up and turn it into a box. I actually forgot to fold this over after I bolted it on the machine, and I was like, dang it, oh well, it'll just be how it is. And all this is for is to keep water and soot and sparks and stuff from falling on top of the electronics box of your Langmuir. So cool first project. I use this little area as a cubby for some of my extra consumables and my favorite pair of needle nose for pulling tip-ups out and stuff. And yeah. Another complaint I hear fairly often about these machines is cable management. So I went through and did some split loom stuff to try to protect some cable. Everything is nicely zip tied together and routed in a way so it does not seem obnoxious. This is my cable here for my USB. I've got a USB extender on it so I can get over to where laptop stand is. I remotely mounted my laptop stand because I didn't want sparks and water splashing on my laptop, so it's clear over here. It's about 6 to 8 feet away from the actual plasma table itself. So yeah, if we kind of pull this out of the way, you can see it's fairly well managed. Over here you can see they come up. They're zip tied together, routed nicely. I put a self-tapping screw in the end of this cap here to help hold those wires. I'm just trying to prevent stresses ever getting into the actual area where the wire goes into the stepper motors. So any way I can kind of trap that wire so that when this is being pulled on, you can see it doesn't move this portion of the wire or where it goes up to my limit switches at all. So stabilizing things, because this moves back and forth all the time. Another complaint that happens a lot with these machines is that the tables leak. I so far haven't had any major leaks at all. I do have a little drip happening down here right now, but I think that is just some residual from cutting earlier that kind of ran over the edge and tracked underneath and dripped down. The cleaning drains and for the actual stainless steel water tray, I've never opened them. I put them in, tighten them down, and then have never used them. I just use a siphon to drain the table when I need to. I've only drained the table maybe 3 times since I bought this machine a year ago. I don't really care if it's dirty. I don't think anybody should really care. I don't put borax or any of those other things that I hear people talking about. I don't use the green stuff that, you know, is supposed to help anti-rust. It doesn't matter. Like, it's a plasma torch. I would rather not be vaporizing any weird chemicals in my little space, and instead just using straight clean water. So yeah, people talk about the table seam leaking and dripping. Take you under here. You can see mine. There's no real obvious drip marks or anything coming from it. I siliconed the crap out of it. I'll tell you, when I put this machine together, before I siliconed that joint, I wiped both sides of it down thoroughly with a Scotch-Brite pad and acetone, and then also dried it with a lint-free cloth before I applied the silicone. And I think that has probably lent itself to why I don't have leaks, because I got good adhesion on the silicone. Another tip I can give you when you put these two halves of the tray together, don't over tighten those nuts and bolts, and do it in a conscious pattern. So I started in the center with one being tight, and I worked my way out opposite, one on one side, one on the other side. And I think that kind of methodical and thoughtful method of putting the two tray halves together, making sure things are very clean, torqued slowly, and in a pattern, made all the difference for why I haven't had a single leak and that split in the year I've owned this machine. Here's another quick tip for you. It is really important to make sure you're topping off your water in your tray. You can see I'm about, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch from the top right now. I could probably put a splash of water in that. And the reason you want to make sure you're topping it off is because if it gets low and you cut, you do this to your table. That was an oopsie by me. You can see I didn't have enough water in it. I was cutting something kind of thick, and I actually started to deform and cut into the bottom of the table. That could have been a very bad thing, because if I had gone all the way through that, I would have literally dumped the table right on top of my plasma. Okay, what else can I tell you about this plasma table? It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's really awesome that a machine of this caliber is available to small-time shops and hobbyists like us, and it's affordable. Like, the shop I was working at before this, we had a $50,000 plasma table, and when I decided to go out on my own and start doing this for myself, it was mind-boggling to me to think that I was going to have to spend that kind of money to have access to a plasma table still. And I started digging around, and voila, here you go, Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro. I'm all in, set up, running with my upgrades for just over 5,000 bucks. Like, you can't complain about that. It's a tenth of what I was expecting to have to pay to get a plasma table in my own shop. And obviously, I work in a tiny space. This is 700 square foot. I couldn't put a $50,000 plasma table in here because it'd take up the whole shop, and I wouldn't be able to do anything but plasma cut stuff. So this table is amazing. Like, if you're thinking about it, you're hesitant, like, I mean, jump, dude. It is worth every penny. If I had to guess, and I didn't track this, I think that table paid itself off in the first maybe 15 jobs. Like, it was amazing how fast I could crank out tabs and different components for the railings and stuff I was doing. I had people that I was able to help out with projects that I wouldn't have been able to help out before because I had that thing. So now I can cut a decorative sign for somebody, or they've got a very specific part on a demolition derby car that is a very awkward shaped tab that they're trying to build for a motor mount. And boom, here I am, a guy right down the street from them that can cut something out that they drew up on a piece of cardboard. I quick dump it into Fusion 360, and boom, here you go. Here's your part. And that opened up a whole world of possibilities for me. Plus, I do like art sculpture and things. And this thing, like, the things I can draw and just cut out that I would have otherwise spent 2 days cutting on a vertical bandsaw and with a jeweler saw or something else to try to get these fine little details, and boom, cut it on a plasma table and it's done. It's so cool. So if you're on the fence, I don't know why, just go for it, man. All right, back here in my basement at home, I'm finishing up editing right now, and I got to do an outro. So I hope you guys learned some stuff from that, kind of understand what it is that I've done to my machine to make it work for me. Obviously, every machine's different, so it's up to you to figure out what works best for you. I hope those tips and stuff made you aware of some things that you wouldn't otherwise have been aware of, and it ultimately helps you guys out in the long run. So thanks for watching. If you don't mind, give me a like, comment, and subscribe. All those good things. The channel's starting to grow, which is really cool. I hope to be able to interact with you guys down in the comments and hear your thoughts and hear what else you guys want to see. So make sure you're commenting down there. And yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.